Hey guys! Cycrafter here, and today I am back with Anime vs. Reality episode number 171. The fact that this is episode 171 is ridiculous as heck. And I feel like this is gonna somehow go into episode by the end of this, it's gonna be like episode 400 by the time I get to end of all the anime that's on the list. That's just on the list. But today, let's not think about the future. We're going to think about the present. And today, I'm bringing you back to Durarara with Durarara X2 Shou, which makes my titling so much easier because I don't have to do like a part 1, a part 2, a part 3. It's Shou, Ten, Ketsu. Much easier. Doesn't make the fact that I have to do 13 episodes any easier though, so let's get into this. We're starting off with episode 1 of Shou, where Mikado repeats narration from the start of season 1, while Celty is being chased by Kinosuke and a TV van. Katsuka is currently in an interview about the character Camilla Saizo, who gets interrupted by the chase with Celty. So Celty turns down many streets trying to shake this crazy cop. But he stays right on her tail. So she turns her bike back into its horse form to scale a building. It's like, okay. Okay, we're doing that. Izuka is watching the chase, unable to decide if Kinosuke's timing is good or terrible. It's like you showed up at an interesting time. Making a giant shadow glider, Celty glides away with Kinosuke referencing Lupin the Third. I forgot that reference happened. Oh my gosh, I forgot. But like referencing Lupin the Third about her grand escape plan. I forgot that was a reference. Got more to add to my ever-growing reference list of Durarara. Which is Lupin the Third is the same one to get referenced. Maru is upset by them cutting away from Kasuka's interview, but with Celty nearby, she wants to go check it out. And it's absolutely animated when sprayed in the face by Kurori using habanero spray. Yeah, because that would hurt. It's like, imagine being so animated and then you get sprayed in the eyes with habanero spray and you just go nuts. It's like, Kasuka's manager, Max Sanshelt, is excited to learn more about Celty, warning Kasuka to show him around Ikebukuro and meet Celty. He gets annoyed by his employee telling him to sit down because he's blocking the TV, making him exclaim that only his stars understand him. The female employee with Max says that Kasuka is in his home in Ikebukuro right now, that they've already viewed the cherry blossoms, and questions Max's dodgy English since he's from America. Max suddenly gets an idea, calling someone. And when Max has an idea, you should be worried. Going back 2 hours, we get more shots showing references to Old Noah, Zero, and Samurai. Did I misspell Samurai? I think I misspelled Samurai. Huh. Flamenco? Samurai Flamenco? While Mikado's narration talks about how no one has changed in the last 6 months. Mikao asks Ari to come along on what he believes is a weird errand, showing a younger student around Ikebukuro. It's like, that is probably the least weird thing you'll experience, mate. They wonder if Kita is doing well for himself, with Mikado certain he is. Meanwhile, Izzy asks if Nami wants to go get something to eat while he checks out what's going on in Ikebukuro. When Nami asks what they'll talk about at dinner, Izzy brings up Seiji and how close he's gotten to Mika. Wanting to see some good news, the program News 666, which is actually surprisingly not an evil number in Japan. Believe it or not. I thought 666 would be. And talks about some new serial. The news program is talking about some new serial killer that have been happening, like serial murders that have been happening in Ikebukuro. The murders in question usually involve some beating to the death of the victim, but no clues have been found to find any suspects. Said suspect wore a wolf mask for the first murder, a merman disguise for the second, and for this one, a dinosaur mask. It's like, huh? What? Huh? Talking to a witness to the murder, says that the murderer killed his victim with his bare hands. Kahei and Saburo are watching the report, while Erika and Walker are talking about the new lineup of manga from Dengeki Bungo, which includes The Irregular at Magic High School and Orima. Kahei is disappointed to learn that there's no new installment of a certain magical index. Erika and Walker spot the news, knowing that Hollywood has struck a gun. A gun. Again. And Hollywood being the nickname for the murderer. I don't know what's going on with my brain there. My brain just shut down for a moment. They say that apparently his murders are very gruesome, saying the killer busts through doors and walls with ease, using only his hands and strips corpses of their flesh. Oh, wow. Walker compares the murderer to Death Gun from SEO, while Erika compares him to Gastrea from Black Bullet, before they start thinking of more characters like Yuki Katakura from Double Breed and Kajayuki Jino from Missing, which I'm pretty sure is the 2001 anime that weirdly got a reference in Eden of the East, if I'm remembering correctly. Done with that conversation, Walker and Erika leave to meet up with Mika. The News 666 are really turning Celty into a bit of a celebrity, showing old footage back during the Mika arc to make a segment for the news. Celty sets out for work, which really worries Shinra with all the news coverage that will come from her working in public. With that segment done, the news report turns to Kasuga once again, talking about his film debut in Vampire Ninja Camilla Saizo, which launched his career. Kasuga went beyond just acting in movies, getting into variety with TV shows, and is dedicated to the role, almost cutting his pinky off during a hidden camera show. It's like, they actually show that. It's like, he actually almost went through with that. It's like, damn, dude knows how to just stay in character and do it. The news channel has secured an interview with Kasuga, getting straight to the point of how poker-faced he is, and that personality was formed by Shizuo's violent mood swings. Interesting. Turns out Celty has a job where all she has to do is visit new character Emilia Kishitani, who struggles with the correct phrases in Japanese for experiments. Back during the ending of Season 1, Celty's dialogue is changed to seduce rather than provoke, which was interrupted by the arrival of Emily to meet Celty. Celty admits she has feelings for Shinra and wants a future with him, but nothing like marriage yet. Shingen doesn't really want to be doing this to Celty, since she's basically family now, but it's a request from Nebula headquarters he can't turn down. At least she is getting paid for getting all these experiments done on her, having made 100k yen in 1 week. She's planning to use it to buy Shinra new glasses and something delicious to eat, like pickled yellowtail. Interesting. She's suddenly caught off guard by the news truck pulling up beside her to talk traffic etiquette, especially since her bike has no lights or license plate. Deciding to be upfront with something ridiculous but true, she says that her bike is a horse, which is why he has no headlights or license plate, transforming her bike into its horse form. Konosuke has also pulled up behind Celty, not even caring that her bike is now a horse, still getting into a chase with her. It's like, okay. Dude, you're chasing a literal mythical creature. From the rooftop, Celty made a shadow copy of herself with the glider to trick Konosuke, but it didn't fool Izia. So yeah, like, we skipped over the whole chase. He's calling to tell Celty not to come near his workplace until everything dies down, and any work from him will come in the form of emails. In the madness of the chase, Celty lost the 1 million yen. Wait, was it 1 million? No, yeah, it was 1 million yen. Because she stated it was. Right? Oh my god, my brain is just blanking. And couldn't find it anywhere, having to run away from one of the gangs, chasing a 10 million yen bounty on her head. Whoo! Returning to the same location as the end of the first episode of Season 1, this time Mikhail and Ari see Celty pass by, chased by the gang. And now that we've properly reintroduced characters, all that, it's time to get into this proper. With episode 2, as two people encounter each other in the middle of the night, right in front of Shizuo and Tom. One of them looking like a zombie. The blind fighter grabs Tom's briefcase to hit the zombie with, but the zombie dodges the briefcase, sending money and loan alerts flying everywhere. Shizuo gets annoyed with them, stealing from him and Tom, smacking both of them with a park bench. It's just like, just, cling, woohoo, up into the air you go. With their briefcase ruined, Shizuo says he'll go look for a new one at Don Quixote. I'm pretty sure that's a Don Quixote reference. I don't want to look like an idiot though. Or that just happens to be the name of the store. The chat room group has upgraded their chat room so they can tell who's who easier now. With Kita says he'll make it easier to gang up on Izia. Ari wants everyone to get along, making Kita have to explain to her he doesn't seriously hate Izia, but Izia knows that's a lie. Celty joins the new chat room to talk about her missing money, and to cheer her up, Izia shares a video of Max talking about Celty's escape and setting a 10 million yen bounty to bring Celty to him, wanting to make her a star. Meanwhile, in Shinra's apartment, Shinra is stuck currently looking like a turtle with a black shell, explaining his predicament by talking about last night. He came home to Celty in one of her shadow balls before being pulled inside, and Celty asking him to say something comforting to her through her depressive episode. Celty explains that she was going to buy a present for Shinra with the 1 million yen, but lost the money. Shinra goes for a touchy-feely hug, only to be imprisoned in a shadow ball because she isn't in the mood. Celty suddenly gets a job and accidentally leaves Shinra trapped in the shadow ball. It's funny, because it's like the head's just sticking out. It does look like a total head moment. It's just like... And that's how I ended up here. And Shinra keeps up his narration, taking the story back to Aurora Academy's opening ceremony, where Maru and Kurui are now going to school. Maru is very open about what she likes to read, and that she's bisexual. Go her. But already has a partner. What? On the other hand, Kurui might have mixed up which outfit to wear to class, wearing her gym uniform. Shinra also points out another new student, a male student with blue hair, who seems to have something preoccupying his mind. And once again, Mikado and Ari are in the same class and have both been elected the class representatives. Almost like the universe is trying to bring them together. Mikado tries to get Ari's attention to talk about something, but he's interrupted by the blue-haired student, whose name is Aoba Kuronuma. Aoba already knows that Mikado is part of the Dollars because he saw Mikado back at the big meeting at the end of the Mika arc, wondering if he's one of the top people. Mikado asks Aoba to not talk about the Dollars so openly at school, and as a favour to keep his lips sealed, Aoba asks for a tour of Ikebukuro. So, blackmail. We already got blackmail! When Mikado asks Erika and Wolf for help, he gets all he gets are locations for fans of particular tastes, mentioning actual places like Swallowtail Butler Cafe, Namja Town, and the Toyoshima Kokaido Visual Care Livehouse. It's like, thank you. Those are so obscure that I'm gonna give this character the wrong impression of the town. Still, they're willing to help by meeting with Aoba, even with their anime obsession on full display. Leaving the karaoke room, Ari is passed by the blonde guy that we saw earlier, getting a sense of danger from him, and is surprised by Shingen knowing about her and Saika. Saika talks to Shingen from within Ari, but when Ari asks how much he knows, he hides the fact that he sold Saika to her dad, giving her his business card if she has further questions. The blonde Slenderman figure scares Ari, talking to Shingen about some data as she leaves. Nami tells Izia that she wishes she could have gone to Rara's opening ceremony to see Seiji enter his second year of high school. Bringing up Izia's sisters, he states that he doesn't like them, comparing them to parameters in games, and that they each try to make up for their relative faults, or respective faults. According to him, his twin sisters deliberately created two different personalities as to not be seen as twins, and by working together, they think they can do anything. They flipped a coin in grade school to choose how they would look and act around others, which is why their clothes don't match their personalities. But for them, since they're together most of the time, to Izia, the two of them are still one, and there's no problem to be had. Nami worries that because they stand out so much, they'll get bullied, but Izia knows that the bullies will be worse off, as we will see in just a moment. Because speaking of bullying, Maru's desk is targeted with stuff that could be considered sexual harassment. I just said a word I can't say. Speaking of bullying, Maru's desk is targeted with stuff that could be considered sexual harassment and accusations of being a naughty girl. Wow. Looking around, Maru notices one student smirking, leaping across the desk to grab a container of thumbtacks, knocking out the smirking student and shoving her hand into her friend's mouth. It's like, ooh. Wanting to know who the ringleader is. The ringleader almost gets away from Maru, but is stopped by her throwing the thumbtacks that nearly went into the other girl's mouth, and Maru takes her to the bathroom to talk. It's like, ooh, you don't want to do that. Since bullying Maru won't work, they decide to target Kurori instead, this time with more colours. Ah, getting pretty. Her teacher asks who scrawled all over Kurori's desk, and Aoba says that Tsukiyama and her friends from another class did it. After class, Tsukiyama approaches Aoba, upset that he ratted them out to the teacher. And he did so because he wasn't sworn to secrecy, while also roasting her by saying that Kurori is more interesting than her. Oh, that's gonna hurt. That's gonna leave a mark. Suddenly, Tsukiyama's bag catches on fire, and the source of the fire, and without the source of the fire being found, the teacher asks to check Aoba's bag since Tsukiyama's bag had paint thinner in it, thinking she was up it. What? Outside the school, Maru introduces herself to Aoba, and Kurori thanks Aoba for ratting on Tsukiyama. Turns out that Kurori already knew who vandalized her desk, watching them from the hallway. It's like, love it when they do that. She also heard Aoba say she's cuter than Tsukiyama, which made her happy, and to say thanks, they both kiss him. Though for Maru, it's an indirect kiss with Kurori. Bisexual memes galore with these two. Letting Maru talk for a bit about how both she and Kurori are fans of Kasuga and potential relationships, Aoba asks if she put something in Tsukiyama's bag, but Kurori says that it's a secret. Fast forwarding back to the night that started the episode, Kurori and Maru search for Celti's glider, but instead find Celti's $1,000,000 and the blonde guy bleeding, asking them to take him to Russian sushi. Shinra thinks Celti has finally gotten home, but instead Shiki has shown up. It's like, ooh, what is Shiki here for? Let's find out in episode 3. Although, we're not going to focus on Shiki right away with episode 3, because we're focusing in on Hollywood, who is wondering why she became a murderer, because doing so makes her nauseous every time she kills. But she's got to become a monster so no one loves her. She believes she only has one more person to kill, but really wants her mum to come save her. Kasuga just so happened to be driving by when Shizuo sent blonde guy and zombie person flying. As the zombie person, Hollywood flew through the sky. Her past reawakened, remembering how she wanted a normal life like the monsters in the movies she watched as a kid. Since she was born into one of the wealthy families of Ikebukuro, she was forced into a life of blue blood. When her house and fortune burnt down, she got to experience freedom, and now in her grand flight from Shou, she's glad to have met a real monster. Seeing Hollywood crash land in front of them, in front of him, on a vending machine, Kasuka walks up to the killer and takes off her mask. Back in his apartment, Kasuka gets Shinra to check on Hollywood, who is surprised by how she's healing, comparing her to Celty and Shizuo. Shinra asks for a glass of water, allowing him to talk privately to Ruri, thinking he'd never be treating her, of all people. A narrator provides background on Ruri, how she started out as a makeup artist, where she apprenticed under Tenjin Sakuro. She was then scouted by Yodogiri Shining and made a debut as a model, and eventually becoming an idol. Kasuka's cat, Yuiga Dokusanmaru, jumps onto Ruri, which he tells them off for, and presents to Shinra as plainly as possible. It's like Kasuka is probably the most plain character you'll ever meet. I am also reading my writing and I'm seeing so many mistakes in my writing, but at this time I write it, I don't see the mistakes. Shinra gets pulled away to a call for another appointment. Disappointed, he has to leave Ruri. On the way out, he asks Kasuka to get Ruri's signatures for him and Celty, letting the house school be free of charge in return. Ruri asks why she's at Kasuka's place, and that's because Kasuka guessed she would want to avoid the hospital for multiple reasons, asking if she's Hollywood. In Russia Sushi, Shinra charges them 200k yen for treating blonde guy named Igor, mainly for pulling him away from Ruri. Simon and Dennis explain that they know Igor from him and Dennis being in the same organization. Maru and Kurori are also at Russia Sushi, calling Izia for information on Celty, but he just hangs up on them, because he hates his sisters. Igor wakes up and mistakes Shinra for Shingen, and when the issue of 200k payment, Simon suggests they take a day off. However, with Celty's money on hand, Maru and Kurori pay it off, which is very generous of them to do. Ruri asks if Kasuka was suspicious of her being Hollywood. Why didn't he turn her into the police? He tries to take the glass off Ruri. Oh, when he tries to take the glass off Ruri, she throws him onto the couch and jumps on top of him, ready to kill us. So it's like, got a hand like... She explains she knows Kasuka's behavior is not an act, but also not normal considering he let a serial killer into his home. Fair point. Meanwhile, Shinra calls his dad to find out how he knows Igor, and he explains he hired Igor to capture Ruri, knowing she had a strange type of blood. Shingen believes Ruri is now dead after being clobbered by Shizuo, and decides to stop chasing her down. Kasuka asks if Ruri would kill him just to shut him up, before saying she can't kill him because there's footage of him carrying her to his place. Ruri asks back what if she just wants to kill him, and he says he doesn't want to be killed with regret for failing to help her. She thinks he's trying to seduce her, but he explains he's always been told he doesn't understand people's feelings and thoughts. It's like, yeah, this guy is very dense at times. Ruri knows it's a line from vampire ninja Camilla Saizo, and Kosuke says he respects Camilla Saizo despite being a character he played, because he respects all the characters he has played. He became an actor to get a share of humanity from the characters he plays in reaction to his brother's emotional state. This makes Ruri stand down and thank Kosuke for saving her, but he's more focused on if Shizuo was the one that hit her, not revealing that he's his brother. Kosuke noticed someone sketchy was following Ruri, so he bought her some insurance. Shinra finally leaves Russia Sushi at daybreak, only to get swarmed by the media when he mentions returning to Kosuke's apartment. They want to ask him questions about Ruri and Kosuke's relationship, since Kosuke's insurance was to kiss her so the media saw. It's like, what? He managed to escape by lying to the media, and getting back to his apartment, bring the story back to Celti's Shadow Ball. And skipping forward once again to Shiki showing up in his apartment, he's there because of an early edition print about Kosuke and Ruri, which is a bit of a shock. Thanks to the media seeing their kiss, they're protected from the shady people trying to get to Ruri. Or trying to get Ruri for whatever they want to use her for. Kosuke's plan is to get her somewhere safe before handing her over to Celti for further protection. Shiki figures that Shinra is the OBGYN mentioned in the article. Oh my gosh. Ask if he examined Ruri and what she is when Shinra confirmed he did. Shinra first asks Shiki if he can get him out of Celti's Shadow Ball though. It's like, yeah, I can't really help because I'm trapped in a Shadow Ball. Meanwhile, Erika punches Walker square in the side of the face during the argument about Moe and Walker's claim of panty shots, and Moe in the same sentence being explained as one method. Huh? Kyohei quickly shuts down the argument, only for them to switch the topic to figures, which angers Kyohei even more. Meanwhile, in the van, Saburo is crying over Ruri being in a relationship with Kosuke, as well as Maru being upset with Kosuke for the same reason. Kurori manages to calm her down by kissing her, which leads to them being harassed by the same gang that was chasing Celsius. It's very much just bisexual everywhere with these two girls. Kyohei sees Kurori and Maru being harassed by the gang, introducing himself to them and calling them pedos for harassing little girls. He headbutts Purple Shirt down, while Kurori scores Blue Shirt right on the family jewels. Ooh! And Maru takes Cyan Shirt down, Cyan Shirt with her martial arts skills, with only Red Shirt escaping. An absolute flip of the cliche of don't wear a red shirt. Maru and Kurori's plan for the day was to wander around Ikebukuro while waiting for a call from a friend, but do take up Kyohei's offer of a lift. Celti is currently being chased while on a job to deliver a bag when one of the bikers catches up and accidentally breaks the bag, causing an arm to fall out. What? At the same time, Mikado and Ari meet up with Aoba for that Ikebukuro tour, and Aoba asks if they are dating. And when he learns they're friends, Aoba makes a joke about making a play for her hand in dating. Woo! Mikado is suddenly confronted by some ex-Yellow Scarfs members wanting revenge for that night at their old hideout. Huh? That's out of nowhere. Celty returns Ruri to her apartment, saying that her service is on the house, and that she's happy to have met someone else with special powers. She can sense Ruri's power, describing it as a similar scent to hers, which makes Ruri ask if Celty really is headless. Having seen Celty's headlessness, Ruri realizes the world was forgiving, cry laughing while spinning a weight on her finger, showing that she actually does have like insane strength. It's like, she just like, hey, with a weight on her point of view, just casually. Moving on to episode 4. We go back to Celty's bike chase with the duffel bag, and she thinks the bag contains a corpse. Securing the bag with her shadow abilities, Celty goes off-road with some building driving. The news is also in the chase, live broadcasting to those watching, which includes Ruri's nonchalant reaction. It also turns out that the ex-Yellow Scarves bothering Mikado are also just after Celty for the 10 million yen prize, attacking him for his phone. It's like, okay, that is probably the weirdest idea of like wanting to get 10 million yen. Kyohei saves Anri, Mikado, and Aoba from their attackers, getting in the van and driving off. Aoba realizes that Maru and Kururi are also in the van, and Saburo notices they're being followed by the Zebra Stripes gang. They do have an official name, they just haven't been mentioned yet. Well, the name hasn't been mentioned yet. Walker explains the situation as they escaped one misfortune only to be in another one, referencing Academy City from a certain magical index. Celty took her current job because she dropped her money from the lab, and the payout was big for the job from Izia. Pulling some gravity-defying parkour, she jumps her bike in front of Saburo's fan, apologizing to Kyohei for doing such a stunt. Kyohei reveals their dollar status, and Aoba notices Mikado's frustration at not being able to do anything. The scene suddenly cuts to the van group hanging out at Shinru and Celty's place, with Erika and Walker discussing tsunderes related to Celty. Celty asks Shinru why they're here discussing her, and it's all because Shinru bragged about being her boyfriend. It's like, what? Dude, you don't want people knowing about her, like, on the news, and yet you're bragging about being her boyfriend? Huh? Cutting back to the bike chase, Celty says she won't give up when two bikes cut them off ahead, which Celty quickly takes out. Under a bridge out of the public eye, she decides to attack back, creating an impenetrable web. Kyohei gets everyone, not part of their group, back out of the van, planning to go help Celty. Aoba gets left with Kururi and Maru as both Ari and Mikado vanish to go help in their own ways. Although Mikado can't really help that much because he's just a normal kid. And Celty sees more bikes of the van group approaching while fighting off the original group when the corpse gets out of the bag. ready to fight. She's also surprised to see that Mikado and Ari are running in to help with the fight, and even Ruri has shown up to help. It's like, just everyone is just here. It's like, say hello to the entire crowd. The van group are shocked by the sudden development, and the guy in the bag is a psyker. Celty gives them both a warning to avoid traffic cops and to not fight Shizuo, which they both understand after having been clobbered by him before. At the same time, yeah. Ari is grabbed by Celty, and Mikado returns back to the inside of the van, having done nothing to help. It's like, dude, you can't do anything. Tom recognizes some members as the Toromaru gang from Saitama when they harass him about who's the dominant group in the Ikebukuro, calling them out on the hypocrisy of a leader. Accidentally striking Shizuo and ripping his undershirt, Tom steps back and prays as Shizuo destroys their bikes and sends them flying around in anger. That night, Izia notes that Max's bounty on Celty has been withdrawn due to a warning from the police, but Max is still satisfied that he has Ruri in a contract. According to Izia, Ruri's previous agency shut down since its CEO, Yodagiri, has gone missing. Ruri tries to explain to Kasuka about why she became a serial killer through Yodagiri's manipulation when they are alone, but he sees right through her plan to self-limb after explaining everything. She still explains how she had a desire to destroy everything, but her fear of losing those around her was stronger. By the end of it, the thought of losing herself scared her the most, which Kasuka compares to a kind of love. Kasuka reveals he might have a dominatrix kick when Ruri was sitting on him, ready to attack, which Ruri is not unattracted to. Meaning she is attracted to? With the fight with the Toromaru gang finished, Igor, the master contortionist, is roped into carrying Maru and Kuru shopping for failing to help them meet Celty. Having heard that Celty is the Black Rider, the two of them set up a plan with Russia Sushi. Dennis disguised himself as the courier, Igor hid in the bag, ready to call Maru and Kurori when he reached Celty's hideout. The plan never worked, but at least Celty got all the money back thanks to it and the 200k yen paid to Shinra. So, all's well that ends well for Celty at least. Kurori says that Igor must be a Russian super soldier, but he deflects the statement, saying it was all Hollywood's work. Igor is actually the 7th most feared hitman in Russia, and he's reduced to washing dishes. Meanwhile, Ani, Celty, and Erika attend a cooking class with Mika as their teacher, their first lesson being how to make Sagahashi-style pickles. Celty went to Ari to teach her how to cook, but Ari is not much of a cook, followed by Erika, which was also a bust. Meanwhile, in Erika's place, she has posters for SAO Season 2, Samurai Flamenco, and Persona 3, the movie number 2, Midsummer's Night Dream. That is a mouthful of a title. Imagine having that as your title. Persona 3, the movie 2, Midsummer's Night Dream. Ugh. Ari knows Mika can cook, which Seiji backs up being there with her because they're inseparable. Celty is upset that they have nothing to eat because the fish have to soak all night for the pickling process to fully work. Shinra comes up with the idea to have a hot pot party and invite as many people as possible to eat, which includes Shizuo, the rest of the van group, Mikado, and Amelia. Or Emily. No, it's Amelia, I'm pretty sure. I cannot believe I got Amelia wrong, I think. I think it's Amelia. Celty and Shinra talk about how wild their last few days have been, with her wondering if she should continue work as a transporter. Shinra says Celty should continue her work as a transporter, displaying their love in front of an embarrassed Aria Mikado. In the chat room, Izia notices immediately that Kurori and Maru have joined the chat room, learning that Nami told them about the chat room. Bad, Nami, bad. Izia is annoyed that they're in the chat room, telling them to leave. Kita had sukiyaki with sake, and Ari says she had hot pot with Celty, and Izia is disappointed that they had hot pot in the wrong season. Izia wants to treat Nami to some hot pot, giving her the choice of shabu shabu, which is thinly sliced meat, or crab, but she turns them down, not wanting to satisfy his vanity. And what thin vanity he has. Seeing that Nami is reading the chat room, Izia wonders if Nami told his sisters about Celty. Nami notes that even though Izia had nothing to do with the Max incident, it still happened, and he wasn't invited to the hot pot, so he's not the center of everything. Izia states he's just observing everyone else's day off, but he's ready to have his own day off, aka cause some trouble with the potential sparks everywhere. Henri thinks about the fact that Sayaka acted on her own, turning Igor into another Sayaka, and that's when she starts hearing Sayaka's voice. Meanwhile, Shiki is still having trouble turning up evidence of Yodogiri's whereabouts, with other organizations thinking they killed him. Apparently, Yodogiri has joined forces with multiple organizations, and they realize he's too enigmatic to just be a talent agency CEO. At the same time, Aoba is talking with his friends about Mikado and the recent biker attack they got caught up in, and noting how excited Mikado was. Aoba wants to create a new spark, but first he needs to deal with the spark dealer himself, Izia. But he tells his friends not to touch Kurori or Maru. He also says not to refer to him by his former name, Aoba Izumi. Oh, I needed that water for my throat. I still got the water here. I also forgot about my helmet. Got plenty of good progress on the helmet. Just gonna put that there for now. As we get into episode 4.5. So let's get into episode 4.5, where we're at the hot pot party, and Mikado is the last one to show up to join the festivities, thinking of being able to catch up with Celty. Instead, he's surprised to see that almost all his friends are there for hot pot, all welcoming him or saying he's late. Henri joins Mikado in his seating area, learning she's good friends with Celty. He's also surprised to see Mika and Seiji at the hot pot, but totally expected the van group to be there. They both wish Kita could be at the hot pot because Uh, could be at the hot pot because Ari starts apologizing to Sokka for what he said, I think. Sorry, my sentence writing got confusing. Reflecting on when Kido invited him to Ikebukuro, Mikado has gone to meet everyone at the hot pot. Mikado tells the story of when he and Kido were in elementary school, and Kido wanted to go rhinoceros beetle hunting at 2 a.m. Kido just wanted to do this to have something to write about in his summer vacation journal, not wanting it to be boring. Mikado says they might get in trouble for being out so late, but Kido notes Mikado's parents are in Aomori for a memorial service. Reaching the national park, Mikado knows Kido is just catching rhinoceros beetles to make pocket money. Kido had prepared some clothes, soaked in a special nectar, and tied them to a tree to make easy pickings of beetles, only for some older kids to get them first. When asked if they had any proof of the clothes being theirs, Kido lies to them and drags Mikado away. What? With Mikado outside the park, Kido goes back into the park to get revenge on them, spraying them with nectar and sending wasps on them. Oh my gosh! Returning to Mikado with only one rhinoceros beetle. Later on, Kido sort of sold the rhinoceros beetle, handing Mikado a candy drop. Seeing 3 kids with a rhinoceros beetle, Mikado learns that Kido actually caught a rhinoceros beetle for them in exchange for free candy drops. Okay. That's an interesting move there, Kido. With his section of reminiscing, blah, blah, blah. With his section of reminiscing, blah, of remembering the past over, Mikado asks Ari how she and Mika got to know each other. Ari says they're childhood friends, but weren't close at first, starting when Mika saved Ari from the bullies in elementary school. As shown in Ari's flashback, her bullies believe she cheated on the last test and got a perfect score. It's like, yes, studying doesn't exist. I definitely didn't study. They say everyone hates Ari, which is shown as not true when Mika steps in to stop them from splashing Ari with a bucket of water. Mika suggests that Ari should stand up for herself a little so she doesn't get picked on a lot, but Ari says she's used to it at home. She invites, "Oh, hello, Jam." I'm currently in the middle of the podcast, so if I ignore what you say, that's the reason why. She invites Ari to join them in playtime, with them hanging around her rather than the other way around. In middle school, Mika's own friends fell in with the bullies for elementary school, turning the bullying on her because of how they perceived her behavior. It's like, yes. It's like Mean Girls almost. Like, the bullied becomes the bully. They try to pressure Ari into splashing Mika with a bucket of water, threatening her with being bullied too. It's like, what? Which annoys her into almost unleashing Sayaka. That's when Mika flips the script, revealing that she knows the main bully, Kushikawa, is dating Shirota after having broken up with Hayaneda of a motorbike gang. The real drama of that information is that Kushikawa lied to Shirota about him being her first boyfriend. Ooh, frames that reveal the truth to him. Drama! Seizing the opportunity from creating an inner conflict between the three bullies, Mika whacks Kushikawa with a mop, drawing blood before taking the other two out. It's like, jeez. Violent much? Just watching drama unfold like it's everyday occurrence. By the way, I showed the helmet before. This is the progress on the helmet so far. It's all yellowed up. Ah, yellow. Anyways, getting back to the present. She comes out of her memory to Mikado talking about her large chest. Wait, what? What? Mika asks Mikado if he only thinks about Ari in terms of a large chest. Instead, she uses his own example of only loving Mika's face, which weirds Mikado out. Over at the table, Kohei asks if Tom pays for all the damages Shizuo causes in Ikebukuro, and somehow, even with causing citywide destruction, he still gets a salary for his work. It's like, that's a pretty good payout. Shizuo's backstory starts with the usual violence. He escalates with using a street sign to beat up 5 other classmates that try attacking him. Tom approaches him to ask for help getting the students to the hospital in the hopes of getting them to bother Shizuo less. Even though Shizuo doesn't want to fight anymore, Tom suggests that fighting violence with violence might be a good thing. Yes, that's a really brilliant idea. He thinks spreading a rumor to stop the violence with a threat of violence, tacking on the idea of Shizuo dyeing his hair blonde. Shizuo is against the idea of dyeing his hair, surprising Tom with his honesty and old-fashionedness. Tom asks what makes Shizuo mad, as to avoid getting beaten up by him because of his brains type. He also suggests Shizuo uses honorifics to talk his way out of fights. Later on, Shizuo overheard Tom talking to the same students he beat up, talking about how they're glad he's tamed Shizuo. But when he hears Tom not treating him in the same regard as the gang students, he delays his attack until Tom leaves. Only when they mention the idea of kidnapping Tom he does attack with the school's water tower, no less. It's like, that's terrifying! A whole water tower just on your head! Ha! Tom eventually got involved in this war on Shizuo, with Shizuo saving him from the beating by the gang students. Shizuo scolds Tom for not doing as the gang students told, and used him to fight them, but Tom doesn't want to do that to Shizuo. Finally dyeing his hair blonde, other students went out of their way to avoid interacting with Shizuo, until he got into high school and met Izaya. Shizuo asks how Kyohei met his friends, but Walker hijacks Kyohei's backstory, turning it into a dating sim, with Erika trying to turn it into a Fuyoshi story. During this fun little segment that's just like a parody of dating sims, characters from multiple anime are referenced, including Mari Kurokawa from Gates, Misaka Mikoto from a certain scientific railgun, Index from a certain magical index, and Tomoka Minato from Rokubo. Shizuo is glad to see Kyohei's group are having fun, while Sabaru freaks out over Celty and Shinra having a signature from Ruri. Shinra shares his own backstory about him and Celty confirming their love in a kidnapping incident 10 years ago, but even Celty doesn't know what he's talking about. It's just like, the jaw drop moment. He's left speechless when Celty doesn't remember the Etsusa Bridge kidnapping incident, slightly referencing the Etsusa Bridge light novel, which is actually in the same universe as Durarara. Because of this mention, and I'm pretty sure it's just naturally in the same universe. Kyohei says Shinra's memory seems to be one-sided, and Shinra almost calls Izia over since he knows too. But with Shizuo present, Shinra's apartment would become a war zone. And we know what a war zone looks like. Mikado leaves the party saying he enjoyed the food and showing shock for how many people showed up. Shinra says that some people end up having to eat hot pot alone, which cuts to Shizuo eating hot pot alone after Nami's quick escape. It's like, nope, I'm out. And that brings us into episode 5. Izia plays a game with the audience, using human souls as pawns, using an example of, can all human souls be bought with money or not? Saying that people will uphold their pride and conscience when offered $1 billion, but still kill someone over one. He believes he can bet on human souls. Continuing outside, he says that some people might get angry for treating souls the same as a coin flip. But Izia says that the odds are skewed in the person's preference, and is not a coin flip. That humans can't understand the souls until they open them up and look. He has used his position as an information broker to give people a push in the direction he wants them to go. Nami was watching his video on a tablet before tossing it aside and calling it gibberish, or rubbish, whatever you want to call it. To Nami, the world is rubbish and filled with too many people, still on about needing only Seiji to exist. A man, Orochi, surrounded by girls, is distracted from the vending machine he was winning prizes from by a robber trying to escape. With just 1 foot, Orochi stops the robber dead in his tracks, and when he sees the female worker is injured, he adds more injury to injury by jumping on the robber's legs. It's like, jumping on someone's legs is just like, ow. Why? The police show up, causing Orochi and the girls to run, which Tom sees and panics at Orochi's presence in Ikebukuro. His presence seems to be associated with the beating Shizuo handed out to the Toromaru bikers in episode 4, because he's in the Toromaru gang, being the leader, Chikage Rokujo. Shizuo already knows Chikage, having met him last night when Chikage asked if Shizuo went a bit overboard with the violence. Being glad someone is upfront with wanting to fight him, Chikage lands the first punch to Shizuo's face before he finishes talking. Only losing the cigarette, Shizuo finishes his sentence of how he wants to live a peaceful life before putting Chikage to sleep. It's just like, now go to sleep, you bastard. I just said that. Over with the chat room, Mara and Kurori watch as Stealthy and Mikado's timelines to chat don't line up. They join the chat room to theorize about a potential romance between Taro and Seton and who they are. Stealthy explains that her chat name is a play on her real name, leading them to try to guess Stealthy's name, which results in multiple of Myra's messages being banned for inappropriate language. Honestly impressive that you managed to get that far. Kira joins the chat room along with Henri and Mikado, funneling him back to his computer to everyone chatting away. Kurori asks if anyone has plans for the upcoming long weekend, and Stealthy says she'll probably be playing video games. Nikita starts a private chat room with Mikado to warn him about going out wandering late at night during the long weekend, and to avoid the dollars for a bit too. Leaving the chat room, Kita lies to Saki about reception on his phone being spotty, but she knows he's lying. I can tell when you're lying, you bastard. Meanwhile, Shizuo had brought Chikage to Shinra's apartment for medical treatment, which surprises Tom. Chikage did show some resilience to the fists of Shizuo, withstanding 4 punches before staying down. Shizuo explains that he's jealous that Chikage has a girl who'll nurse him back to health. Tom gets ready to leave with Shizuo when he sees a girl with purple hair staring at Shizuo, who is happy to have found him. Shizuo steps out to confront the little girl, who hits him with a taser while maintaining an innocent look. It's like, taser! Chikage's girls show him around Ikebukuro while saying he's bad at fights and that he shouldn't push himself. Chikage makes the excuse that he was outmatched and hadn't been in a fight for a long time. Also, like, Nami's narration has been going on in the background, and I've been ignoring it, because she basically hates anything that's not Seiji. It's like, what is her? What's wrong with her? Meanwhile, Celty has a meeting with Shiki, noting everyone is on edge because someone looking like her showed up at an affiliate's financial office to submit a violent claim. Celty goes to change for the meeting so she can't show disgust in front of Shiki, but he knows how disgusted she is by her body language. Shiki asks Celty to take off her helmet, which she does, and one of Shiki's men calls her a monster. Saving the guys head into a cabinet for such an explanation. Celty uses her shadow ability to stop Shiki from killing him. Getting back to business, Shiki slides Celty a picture, bringing the story back to Shizuo being tasered. Knocking the taser out of the girl's hands, everyone stares thinking Shizuo attacked her, leading to Shizuo and Tom running from the police, with the girl glued to Shizuo. Thinking of where to get rid of the girl, they land on going to Shinra's to drop her off. That night, Shikage states he doesn't want to fight Shizuo again, that he was only a detour in his plan to terrorize Ikebukuro. Shikage says that someone came all the way to Saitama to attack the Maru gang and random people. The Taramaru gang have it out for the dollars, ready to show them who the really insane group is, but to not attack the woman. The woman, like, I meant E, not an A. Celsi looks at the picture she was handed, and it's of the little girl that recently attacked Shizuo. Another biker pulls up behind Celsi, setting a wire trap without her realizing. Pulling up alongside Celsi, the blonde biker calls her a Halloween night and says farewell before triggering the wire trap. And that brings us to episode 6. As we see Celti laying on the road in pain, she thinks about last night's chat room session and her conversation with Shinra. The blonde biker leaves thinking Celti is dead, with Celti managing to tag her bike with some of her shadow. Shinra thinks Celti has gotten home, only to be confronted by Shizuo with Tom and the little girl. She thinks Shizuo kidnapped her, but still invites them in for juice. Explain that Celti is out at work at the moment. He then wonders what kind of housewife Celti would be, and imagines himself as a stay-at-home husband. During the meeting Celti had with Shiki, the picture he slid to Celti was of Janai Yodagiri, the head of the Yodagiri Shining Corporation. Shiki explains that Janai has gone missing, and all Celti has to do is find information about Janai for Shiki. However, Janai is just the side job to Shiki's main job for Celti, protecting Akane Awakusu, the very girl who ends up at Shinra's apartment, so weirdly that job got way easier. Two new characters are introduced, Sloane and Verona, and they're at the karaoke place with Sloane freaking out over how cows get so big. Verona answers that cows have unique microbes living in their stomachs, which reacts with the grass and cow saliva to produce amino acid. With that information known to him, Sloane thinks he can eat stank and drink milk without a care in the world. Thinking about milk, Sloane asks Verona why guys have nipples, which she has the answer for too, explaining that gender is only determined after the nipples are formed in pregnancy. Both of which are true. They're both correct facts. Junai shows up to their room, getting straight to the point, asking them to giving them the task to kidnap Akane. Sloane is upfront about if they're getting on the Yukaza's bad side, they should get paid accordingly. Junai has heard that Celti is going to be Akane's bodyguard, and Celti gets herself prepared to search for Akane, unaware she's back at Shinra's apartment. Meanwhile, at Shinra's apartment, Tom has finally explained everything, which just reinforces Shinra's thoughts that Shizuo kidnapped Akane. Shizuo gets frustrated at Shinra's accusation, crushing his cup and feeling bad for the manufacturers who made the cup. Of all the people to get upset about, that's who you choose to get so sad for. Shinra asks Akane for her name, but realizes she has a fever, asking Tom and Shizuo to grab the guest mattress. Meanwhile, Mario Academy's class representatives seem to be in a deadlock over what to do for the school trip. Someone suggests they take a vote, but Mikado is preoccupied with Kita's warning from last night. Henri checks on Mikado, noting how distracted he seems, but he hides that he talked to Kita privately last night, because it might make her uneasy. Aoba joins them too, saying he's in the art club and sees if Mikado is free tomorrow to do that city tour. When Mikado says he might be busy, Aoba asks Anri if she is busy, but she says she's not a good guide. Seeing Aoba hitting on Anri, Mikado corrects himself, saying he can take Aoba on that city tour after all. It's like, oh, once you're interested in my girl, I'm gonna take over. Bringing the story back to Celti's bike crash, Celti realizes she has entered the abnormal as Verona retracts her wire trap, thinking about how this all began. Verona escapes out to a truck waiting for her, confirming what she thinks is a kill, and calling Celti a weakling. Sloane freaks out over seeing a license plate reading 1313, asking Verona what makes 13 unlucky. She says there's multiple theories, citing the Last Supper from Christianity as a famous example, as well as Norse mythology's Loki, who appeared and disrupted harmony. In the chat room, Mikado is the first one to show up despite being late until Kuri and Maru join. Kuri gives Mikado a test, her first question being if Mikado is an S or an M, which is aggressive or passive, respectively. Mikado ignores the question to say hello, but Kuri is determined to find out more about him. Verona and Sloane have to wait for someone else to locate Akane, so they decide to take care of their other job. Sloane says Verona is not too thrilled about that job, but she has no issues with doing it. Anri finally joins the chat room, and Kuri warns her about staying cooped up in her house, explaining that she and Mari explored Ikebukuro, eating gyoza at Namja Town, and visited World Import Mart and specialty shop Alpa, seeing Chikage apprehend a burglar. The two ask about the dollars, describing them as both as charming and dreadful people, a deranged group hidden in plain sight because some of the dollars are picking fights in Saitama. They have seen rumours of the dollars' attacks on social sites, and Mikado goes to check it out. Celti's narration wonders if everything that has happened was fate or set up by someone. Celti continues riding without a helmet, following the shower line directly to Verona. Meanwhile, Shinra takes care of Akane, but since internal medicine is not his specialty, all he can confirm is signs of an inflamed pharynx, or throat. Shishiro thinks it's teething fever, and Shinra mocks him for not being bright, owing him a flick to the head, which I'm pretty sure was like so strong, it knocked him over. Mikado's research reveals that someone from the dollars has spray painted over the Taramaru mark to announce they arrived in Saitama. Izaya calls Mikado out of the blue to talk about the Saitama incident, asking Mikado what he's going to do about it. Mikado wants to stop these dollars members somehow, but Izaya says that the dollars have no rule about picking fights in other prefectures. Anri gets a sudden visitor to her apartment, but there's no one at the door when she looks through the peephole, but opens the door enough for someone to use bolt cutters on the chain to her door. It's like, never open the door to someone that hides from the door, the peephole. We're entering episode 7. As Simon tries his best at advertising Russian sushi, failing until Igor shows up speaking Russian with Simon. Simon's narration talks about two types of Ivans in Russian. The ones too married to his job and the ones that are a bit nuts. Somewhere in Russia, Comrade... I think this is Russia, anyways. Comrade Lingering Daglanikov shows his partner Dragon that his hands are stuck in some vases after trying to remove the contents. Dragon brings the topic back to Verona and Sloane while lighting a barn with dead bodies in it on fire. Lingering shoots a survivor trying to sneak up on him, destroying the vase, which leads to Dragon questioning the idea of having the gun in the vases in the first place. Asking Dragon to speak Russian, Dragon says that one of them might have a damaged Wernicke's area, which controls language comprehension, who might be lingering if the icy words pouring out of Dragon's mouth are to be believed. Nope. Again, bringing it back to Verona and Sloane, Dragon is willing to kill them, even if Verona is his daughter. But Lingering suggests instead confine them to a warehouse for a bit. Dragon is the one that sent Igor to Japan to find Verona and Sloane, and would ask Dennis and Simon for help too, if need be. Lingering says, unlike Dragon, Verona has some human qualities since she has no qualms about killing. Dragon calls Verona immature as a human, only having knowledge and is mentally a child. Simon's narration continues to say that Verona, which means crow in Russian, has both machine-like accuracy and an appetite for destruction. Igor stares at Octopus as Dennis asks him why he's in Japan, and he explains he's not there for Simon or Dennis, but Verona and Sloane, which means elephant in Russian, who stole their company's anti-material rifles. Igor has found signs that they're in the Ikebukuro area and decided to let Simon and Dennis know. Learning of Verona's history, her father Dragon, a codename for him, didn't bother trying to connect with her, instead distracting her with books. With only the books to read, she learnt more stuff than any one person needs to know, helped by her fast reading pace. Other parents made their kids avoid Verona because of her dad's work, but she was content with books. One night, a burglar broke into their house, and Verona killed the guy using her skateboard and her knowledge of water plus electricity equals death. Her action in killing someone finally got her dad's attention, which she didn't understand completely. In her teen years, Simon and Dennis taught Verona self-defense, which she turned into methods for defeating her enemies, graduating from playing thugs to professional killers. When the rival gang was against her father's company, Verona single-handedly took them all out without saying anything, only to get slapped for doing so. Her reason for taking such action was, it was fun. And currently, Verona is attacking Ari in her apartment, aiming to immobilize her for a while. Meanwhile, Izia and Mikada's phone call continues with Izia explaining that the dollars have some degree of power and can rise in the ranks by attacking others. He says Mikada can get through this by keeping his mouth shut, and that the dollars are about freedom. Using the example of stopping the dollars from attacking people, the group would seize being said dollars. Izzy states that Mikado always seems like he wants to do something about the dollars when their misdeeds escalate in reality, but doesn't because it's not fair to do so. Saying that no one in the dollars are looking at Mikado to take responsibility. Izzy believes he must be highly conscientious to be willing to be accountable. However, Izzy sees that Mikado might be afraid of being left behind by the dollars, and not that he's losing control of them. Turns out that Verona's torment of Henri is the other job they had, but it's about to be interrupted by Celti. Verona's job is not as easy as expected when Henri uses Sayaka to block the bolt cutter and easily defeat Verona. She's curious about what would happen to her if she was cut by Sayaka, only to be snapped out of it by Sloane blaring the truck horn. Getting back to the truck, the two are chased by Celti, who traps the truck in her shadows, making Verona panic and use the anti-material rifle on Celti. Finding Celti's shadow wire attached to her bike, Verona tells Sloane to head to an abandoned factory nearby. Celti avoided getting shot by the anti-materials rifle's explosive rounds by shielding her and Shooter, her bike horse, with an extremely thick shadow wall that still knocked him back to Henri's locations. Like, damn, you got blown back that far? That's wild. She asks why Henri was targeted, but Henri has no idea about what's going on. With Henri's household compromised, Celsi says she can stay at hers for safety, and putting together a strategy to protect themselves. Celti asks if Henri has a spare helmet she can borrow, but Henri reminds Celti of her shadow abilities, making a helmet for herself. Izzy finishes his call with Mikado reminding him that he has to evolve to keep up with the dollars and enjoy an ordinary life. It states that Mikado has his friends that can help him, and even he would help Mikado whenever he can, which Mikado thanks him for. Mikado finally has a chance to fall asleep, which is ruined by the arrival of Aoba and his friends, as Simon's narration describes the two types of Taros: the nice guy and the one that uses nice guys. And now we have reached episode 8. Kita talks with Izzy over the phone about something going exactly how Izzy said it would before returning to Saki with some chocolates. Saki notes that bullet trains are amazing with how straight they are, and Kita calls her strange. She says she's not as strange as Kita, who can't stand Izzy, yet still talks to him and does stuff for him. Back in Ikebukuro, it's Sunday 10 AM and Aoba knocks on Mikado's door, while Shizuo is bloodying his finger on a doorbell trying to bust through a door Izzy set up. Aoba is now earlier discussed something with Mikado and about the dollars, showing he has his friends with him. Kita joins the chat room to no one else there, planning to dig through the old logs to see what everyone got up to during the long weekend. Saki wonders if Kita is a masochist for being in the chat room so often instead of going to see his friends. Kita is surprised to find that all the logs are gone except for yesterday's, so he logs off. 2 hours earlier on that Sunday, Henri waits by Akane until she wakes up, letting everyone know when she wakes. Shinra gives Akane a checkup while Henri makes her drink, and he finally learns her name is Kane. Kane believes Shizuo is a hitman, and was told by her father and grandfather that a hitman named Shizuo would kill her. The modified taser came from Izzy, which makes Shizuo extremely angry, but he keeps up a smile with Akane around and explains the misunderstanding. Tom is proud that Shizuo was able to hold in his anger while around Akane. Shizuo asks Tom for a favor, saying that if he's arrested for murder today, to tell their boss that Shizuo was fired yesterday. Shizuo fails to get through the door and gets tricked by the moving information notice, which Nami takes down as soon as he leaves. Meanwhile, Mikado is brought to the Yellow Scarf's old hideout by Aoba and his friends at the same time. Celty's bike link leads her to the same warehouse. Sloane and Verona spy from a rooftop over the entire situation, knowing that Celty is an easy target, but they can't snipe her because she survived the previous sniping. Well, the previous assassination. In the warehouse, Aoba asks if Mikado was the one asking questions about the feud in Saitama, revealing that it was him and his friends behind that feud. Seeing that the Toramaru gang were chasing after the van group in Celty, they retaliated with a Molotov cocktail, and Aoba brings up the blue squares. Meanwhile, Chikage is at an art gallery, more to hit on the female worker there than to look at the paintings. Designed to buy the painting, he tries to get the gallery owner to pay up for him to give the lady the money. Walker walks right by them to look at a painting with another worker, and Chikage gets annoyed by the gallery owner until he gets a call. A Toramaru member tells Chikage that the Dollars member has slipped inside the art gallery with another worker. Walker is kicked from the art gallery as he has been blacklisted for something in the past. What did he do? Spying on Walker, the Toramaru member tells Chikage that Walker's friend Kyohei did beat up some Toramaru members, believing Kyohei to be the leader of the Dollars. Seeing Erika with them holds Chikage back from attacking Kyohei until he splits off from them. Chikage says he can handle Kyohei, but gets distracted by a girls' school being in the middle of this town until Kyohei calls attention to him. Aoba explains that he also attacked the Toramaru gang out of spite for ruining his Ikebukuro tour with Mikado and Anri. Mikado says that what he knows about the old feud between the Yellow Scarves and the Blue Squares, and Aoba adds knowledge by revealing that his brother ran the Blue Squares. Chikage asks if Kyohei and Shizuo are part of the Dollars, and Kyohei answers yes. Everyone in the Dollars suddenly gets a message that they are under attack from the Toramaru gang, which Aoba had all planned out. Mikado is confused why Aoba would confess everything to him, and Aoba says that he wants Mikado to become the leader of the Blue Squares, having figured out that Mikado founded the Dollars. Meanwhile, Shizuo has found Izuya's other base of operation, but it turns out to be an Owakuzu group hideout, with the room framed to make it look like Shizuo attacked them. Aoba orders that Mikado would be free to use... Aoba explains that Mikado would be free to use the Blue Squares any way he wants, even ordering the end of the feud by letting the Toramaru gang beat them up, or destroying the Toramaru gang. Mikado argues that he can't do that all he has to do was keep quiet about being a member of the Dollars, but Aoba notes he's smiling. Akane tags along with Anri for the Ikebukuro tour she's going on with Mikado and Aoba. Nikita is perplexed by the deletion of all the chat logs in the chat room, thinking the site got hacked again. And Izia receives a message from someone that makes him happy. Okay, let's get into episode 9. The Toromaru gang are terrorizing everyone, whether they are part of the dollars or not, trying to find the leader of the dollars. In the chat room, Kid asks if he was really there yesterday, only to get Maru and Kurori confirming he was. The Angel Girls catch the Toromaru gang's violence, taking a photo as evidence, and with the sheer amount of people being dollars, they leave the scene. Both Celty and Sloan and Verona watch the scene play out between Aoba and Mikado. Over at the Owakuzu sort of headquarters or hideout, Takaki Kazamoto asks if they caught Shizuo, and Shou Aosaki retorts, who put Takaki in charge, even though he only asked the question. The head of the Owazu organization, Mikiya Owazu, shows up, questioning how Shizuo could take on Free barehanded, but Mizuki Akabayashi says Shizuo would use anything to help him fight. Mikiya notes that it's like any brat willing to fight, but Mizuki says that Shizuo uses stuff like vending machines and guardrails as weapons to throw at his enemies. Getting their cleaners on the scene, Shiki thanks them for the hard work, which they are glad to do since the leader of the Owakuzu organization looked out for them when they were young. They quickly find Shizuo, but even with 8-1 odds, Shizuo gives them the slip and parkours up the side of the building. He just goes up the building. That's impressive. Knowing Shizuo didn't touch the safe, Shiki wonders if Shizuo really did attack his men, along with the fact they left a witness alive. It's like, yeah, that's highly suspicious. One of Shiki's men arrives with the urgent message that a scout saw Akane yesterday on 64th Street. Shiki says that Takaki is in charge of finding her and doesn't need to know. But Shizuo had contact with Akane, so that's why Shiki is being told this. Izia mocks Shizuo, surprised that Shizuo is running, allowing the sharper minds of the Owakuzu organization realize Shizuo didn't do this. Hopping on the train, Izia prepares to mess with Shizuo from the train. Mikado is struggling to make a decision of what to do with Aoba and the blue squares, due to its desire to not commit violence. Unable to decide, Mikado asks to go home and think about the proposition, but Aoba says that would be too long, closing the doors of the warehouse. Mikado says they have their meeting with Henri, and Aoba asks how crazy Mikado is about Henri. Shiki goes to meet with Shinra about Shizuo, seeing all the destroyed cups in Shinra's sink. Shinra asks Shizuo to find out where he is, and mentions that Shizuo showed up with a little girl yesterday. Meanwhile, Mizuki's narration talks about the fact that Aoba doesn't know that Mikado got a warning from Kita, thinking Izia said something to him. Aoba gives Mikado the time until they have to meet with Henri for him to make a decision, which is 10 minutes. Celti watches the scene and thinks of Aoba as similar to Izia, thinking that Aoba might be setting Mikado up. Aoba had already planned ahead, having messaged Henri 5 minutes ago, and has to go meet up with her. Celti is suddenly busted by a phone call from Shinra, leaving Aoba and Mikado surprised by her presence, and Verona shocked by a monster doing something so human. Celti tries to play it off as her just as an urban legend passing by, but Caddy has failed his reading comprehension. I'm pretty sure they actually call him Neko in the anime, which is funny. Sloane sees the Toramaru gang also approaching the warehouse, ready to beat up everyone inside. Aoba manages to stop the fight right before it kicks off, revealing Mikado is the leader of the Dollars. Celti helps Mikado escape the warehouse, while Shinra tells Shiki that Akane is currently with Henri. Verona got a tracker on Celti's bike using her slingshot device, meaning Celti is inadvertently leading Verona to Akane without knowing anything. They think that Celti took Mikado as food, but Sloane notes she's not thinking straight because Celti is beyond her book knowledge. Meanwhile, at I think it's like train station, Rio runs into Henri, explaining she's showing some friends from junior high around Ikebukuro. She asks if Henri is part of the Dollars, mentioning how the Dollars mailing list is close to blowing up. As Rio leaves, Henri is confronted by the Awazu organization trying to take Akane, followed by the arrival of Mikado and Celti and the Toramaru gang. Both the Awakuzu organization and Toramaru gang misunderstand each other, which leads to a fight. Celti is forced to take Henri, Mikado, and Akane and escape the station, and transforms Shooter into a horse and carriage for everyone to fit on. Verona and Sloane try to confirm what's going on, considering both Henri and Akane are present from their two missions. They follow at a distance, with Verona comfortably nervous about what's going on. Kita confirms that everyone has been in the chat room except for Izia, with Kurori saying this could be Kita's chance to put a curse on Izia, so only he dies, but Kita explains he's only messing around with Izia. Everyone is taking photos of quite the spectacle as Celti passes by, with everyone seemingly recognizing Akane. People treat Akane as a spoiled girl, with them saying to her, "You grew up wanting for nothing." Seeing one of her classmates being bullied by having trash stuffed in her desk, Akane says bullying is wrong, without thinking, which somehow worked. She decided to become someone who could make more people smile by becoming an artist. She decided to become she left her phone at a friend's house one time, and Akane overhears that her friends are just putting up an act because they are terrified of the Awakusus. The friends' parents came over really quick to return Akane's phone, which is what made her think something wasn't right. She looks up her family name on the internet, learning her family is a Yakuza group with an art gallery as a front. The girl she saved from bullying was being roped into bullying Akane. But one of the girls remembered how scary her father is, hence the act they put up. Akane tried to act like nothing happened, but when she bumped her drawing book to the floor, landing open on her art, she starts crying and tearing out her artwork. Days passed, and Akane withdrew from her parents and went online, meeting Nakura. She traveled to Ikebukuro and met Nami pretending to be Nakura, beating her often to tell Nami her whole story. Nami introduces Akane to Izaya, telling them both about her family, with Izaya comforting her. Eventually running away from home, Akane spent nights at manga cafes and diners, getting pointers on how to successfully run away from home. Izaya asked Akane if she hated her dad or grandpa, but she wasn't sure. That's when Izaya planted the idea of Shizue being a hitman in Akane's mind, lying that he might be targeting Akane's family. Back in present, Celti transforms Shooter into a more conspicuous black van to avoid attracting attention, while Shizue is jumping from roof to roof trying to find Izaya. Shinra asks Shiki the state the victims were left in out of interest, so Shiki shows him the photos, and Shinra recognizes it's not Shizue's doing because of how good the bodies look. Shiki thinks who else could do this to anyone with their bare hands, remembering the Hollywood killer. Izaya checks out Ruri's burnt down household, taking a call from Kita, who's accusing Izaya of jacking his chat name. He denies such an action, asking Kita for proof, and even if he did, there's even less proof he talked to Mikado. Instead of behind it's saying, oh wait, there's even less proof he talked to Mikado. Saying something is happening in Ikebukuro, Izaya tells Kita to ask Mikado to his face instead of hiding behind a computer screen, calling Mikado a sacrificial lamb. Wonder how delicious that would be. Sacrificial lamb. Meanwhile, Kyohei explains that the beating he gave to those Toramaru gang members was himself, not the dollars. Chikage apologizes and says that was their fault, and that he was done with Shizue, asking if Kyohei knows what the dollars did in Saitama. He asks if Kyohei knows who the leader of the dollars is, and Kyohei answers he doesn't know. Like how locusts and fish don't know. Kyohei is ready to accept his beating, but can't bring himself to laugh at the clueless idiots that caused this whole problem. Taking the fight to a private location on Raira Academy grounds, while some students are playing kabaddi, which is a contact sport where the goal is to tag a defender and return to your side without being tackled. Kyohei and Chikage prepare to fight. Kyohei notices that Chikage has a Shun Bakuto, a wooden sword, and tells him to use it as an advantage. The two go at it, and the student notices, taking photos. Aoba's group defeat the Toramaru gang members, and are wondering if Aoba is messing with them about Mikado being the leader of the dollars. The student taking photos is part of the dollars as well, uploading the photos she took to the message board of the dollars site. Aoba is about to send one of his group to check out the situation at Ryo Academy, but stops him from taking the bike, seeing Celti's shadow line. She telling him to take one of the Toramaru gang bikes. Aoba prepares to reel in Celti. Izia checks out the student's photo on one account, and some more photos on another account that some Toramaru gang members might be targeting Ryo. Shizue figures he could try to find Izia with some binoculars at the top of a building, but it's not working out, thinking Izia could be anywhere. Looking at his phone, Izia mocks Shizue, telling him about the Toramaru gang, about how the Toramaru gang are attacking the dollars. Celti takes her passengers into an underground parking lot and tells Akane that she's safe. Akane is slightly freaked out by Shooter's headless horse form, which makes Shooter hide. Mikado's mind is currently stuck on what's happening with the dollars, the whole Blue Squares deal, and what Izia told him. Getting a message on his phone, Mikado announces that he has to leave, warning Henri about Aoba. Verona decides to follow Mikado, while Sloane stays on Celti and Henri, waiting to see what they do. Celti checks her phone to see a message from Izia about the Toramaru gang attacking the dollars, saying that one of the leader's girlfriends is at a restaurant in Ikebukuro. And it's Ryo's friend, Non. That's actually her name, Non. Henri decides to go help Ryo, protecting Non from being kidnapped, and Celti warns Henri about the people from last night, saying they might attack again. With Henri also leaving Celti, with it looking like Henri is going to the same location as Mikado, Verona says she can handle both. Oh, my throat. We're close to the end, though. As we get into episode 11. Kyohei and Chikage match each other in a punch up, with Kyohei slowly getting the upper hand, with several blows to Chikage's face. Several members of the Dollars provide narration about how they and others perceive the Dollars, ranging from heroes to villains. Ryo gets the message about them just in time for some guys to show up, leading to a chase to kidnap Non. Non is willing to give herself up to protect her friends, but Ryo doesn't want her to. However, all four girls are kidnapped to prevent any of them from calling the police when they are gone. Mikado arrives to try to stop the guys from kidnapping girls, only to get beat up and told that the Dollars have no rule against kidnapping. One of the guys stays behind to beat up Mikado. Is good old crotch power Hiroshi. Oh my gosh, he came back. Still blaming Mikado for busting up his ex's phone. Even though that was Izia's doing. Meanwhile, Kido is stuck on if he should return to Ikebukuro to Mikado or not. Plenty of people are part of the Dollars. Even Awakazu organization members like Mizuki, which proves more effective at getting information than Izia when he ignores you. Shiki is trying to figure out why Hollywood would kill someone who wasn't after them, keeping the possibility that the Yasuki group is trying to distance themselves from the Mayday group in the mix. Celty returns to the apartment with Akane, reuniting her with her parents through Shiki. Shou catches Mizuki on his phone, thinking Mizuki is texting a woman until he explains he's gathering information on Ikebukuro. Izia is starting to get annoyed at how cool-headed Shizue is currently being, wanting him to fight. Back with Kyohei and Chikage's fight, they match each other again with a flying kick at the same time, with Kyohei getting Chikage almost in a chokehold, and Chikage finds strength to slam Kyohei into a wall. Akane asks if Shizue got to her father or grandfather, learning that he hasn't. And learning that he hasn't, Akane says she should have killed him. Chikage and Kyohei continue their fight, with Chikage crushing Kyohei's midsection with a bear hug, and Kyohei whacking Chikage in the head, which he returns head trauma with a headbutt to the chin. Shinra explains to Celty about the situation Shizue is in with the Awakuzu group, thanks to Izia's meddling. A flash grenade goes off right outside the apartment building, and Celty sees Sloane escape with Akane in his arms. Aoba is following Celty's thread right to her at the exact moment Celty leaves to chase Sloane. Both Kyohei and Chikage are still fighting it out, bad and bruised, leading to a potential double KO. Henri finds Mikado as he's waking up from being knocked out and gives Hiroshi the haircut Izia did a year ago using Saika, while protecting herself before knocking him out. Unable to do anything about Non now, Mikado heads to Raira to try to stop the fight, with Henry tagging along after failing to convince him to call the police. Verona is surprised they're not calling the police, meaning she can easily dispose of Henry before the police come. Sloane reports he has Akane in his possession, believing to be unfollowed. So Verona asks him to send her the location of Raira Field number 2, so they can both get their tasks done at once. Meanwhile, Saki says that Ari and Mikado won't hate him because they are his friends. She states that because she's his girlfriend, they can't become friends. Oh my gosh, what is up with me right now? But if a friend did come to hate him, she'll hold Kira close. Kira decides to return to Ikebukuro to be with Mikado and Henri. Kyohei and Chikage are still going, headbutting each other in unison this time, sending Chikage's hat into the air, which ends the fight with both of them exhausted. Chikage concedes that Kyohei won the fight, so Kyohei asks him to hold off the Toramaru gang for today, so he can figure out who rampaged Saitama. With their fight over, a bunch of Dollars members show up to beat up Kyohei, but with a poor choice of words against the Toramaru gang. Chikage reveals his weapon to be a helmet splitter. Kyohei and Chikage team up to fight the bad Dollars members when they reveal they have Non, who is being held by none other than Morita. Morita, he came back for another round of beatings. Mikado tries to make a plan with Ari to save Non, Rio, and the other hostages. However, she seems to be caught up in a fight with Verona. And Walker shows up on the roof of the equipment shed, dazzling Morita in an inflammable liquid and a lighter with a picture of Tsukuyomi Komoe from a certain magical index on it. Shiri, Castano, and the bunny employee also show up to save the hostages, and Walker wants to go into anime attack mode. Using a spray can and the lighter, Walker makes a makeshift flamethrower and does a PSA to not try this at home. That's so cool. I love the fact that they had to break the fourth wall for safety reasons. Both Kyohei and Chikage are surprised by the arrival of their groups, wondering how they knew where to come. Verona is amazed that Henri can still see, while disappointed that Mikado is just a human. She asks if Henri is a human or a monster, to which she answers neither. She's just a parasite. With the Toramaru gang present, Kanazawa tries to sneak away, only for Kyohei to punch him back into the fight. Aoba's Kadia's friend, Neko, reports the fight to Aoba, with him realizing what a stupid idea it was to send Neko out for reconnaissance, but is surprised that Henri is there. Mikado's eyes recover to see Shizuo rocking up, just carrying for Rose bike. He's just like, da, 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 da. A few minutes earlier, Celti finds the truck Akane is in, only to get distracted by the students playing kabaddi, but realizes she wouldn't be able to play because she can't say kabaddi, which is a part of the game. With that distraction out of the way, let's get to episode 12. We're at the last episode of this madness. With my throat just feeling like it's a dead weight. And here we go with episode 12. It's absolute madness as Ari and Verona's fight blends into the Toramaru gang and the Bad Dollars fight. Shizuo didn't know who Mikado was, asking if he's a member of the Dollars, and telling Mikado he's leaving the Dollars because he doesn't want to be a part of a group that kidnaps girls. Erica and Walker watch the fight from the sidelines, seeing Henri sword fighting Verona, and Walker calls her Flame Haze from Shakugan no Shana. Non joins them to watch because Chikage is fighting as well, being the first to notice Shizuo rocking up to destroy some people. Everyone notices Shizuo walk into the fight with the bike, stopping and staring at him, with Kyohei explaining the hostage part is dealt with already. Instead of attacking though, Shizuo just asks who owns the bike, and just places it down, because it's Verona's, and he just puts it down respectfully. He's just like, okay. The Dollars member that did kidnap Non charges at Shizuo with Switchblade, only to get a broken arm and yeeted. Verona tries to kill Shizuo before running away using her spring-loaded knife, which only enrages Shizuo. Well, now that she's attacked him, Shizuo hurls Verona's bike at her, hitting the tree beside her, and chases her to the truck, where he sees Akane tied up inside. Verona shoots at Shizuo, which he dodges and mistakenly thinks that Izia is behind it. She asks Sloane to stop the truck and why he didn't attempt to hide Akane with a jute bag or a sheet. Sloane explains himself when she hears a car flying towards them like a soccer ball. Thanks to Shizuo, just like, he's like kicking it, like, just running and kicking a car like it's a giant soccer ball down the street as a shield. It's insane. Like, this anime knows how to do insane. Chikage calls off his men, and even though he doesn't like the dollars, he has taken a liking to Kyohei. Shizuo is actually using the car like a soccer ball as a shield from any more shots Verona plans to take. When Verona does shoot after exposing himself momentarily, he vanishes up to the rooftops and jumps onto the truck and swings in and destroys Verona's AK-74 in just one jump. Without any way to engage Shizuo directly, Verona aims for Shizuo's eye with her pistol, but is unable to shoot due to Celty jamming the gun and sticking it to the truck roof. Sloane tries slamming on the brakes to make Celty crash, but she avoids the truck, getting alongside it, while Shizuo's arm punches through the truck's wall. So he's like stuck in the truck wall now. So knives nearly hit Akane, but Shizuo takes them in his back before escaping with Akane in his arms as the knives fall out. Akane thanks Shizuo for saving her with a hug, confused why he did save her since she tried killing him. Celty is confused by their conversation, just glad that they're both smiling. Walker asks Kyohei what today's uproar was even about, and he promises to explain while they go get something to eat. However, Russia's sushi is temporarily off the table, so they set off for a Taiwanese restaurant, asking Henri to join them, but not before Erika gropes and massages her, trying to find Sayaka. Of course. Henri is left wondering where Mikado got to in all the commotion. Chikage and Non walk off together, with Chikage lying about his wounds, feeling better after she took care of them, and Non hoping he gets yelled at by the other girls. Mikado catches up to Chikage, looking to take responsibility for the dollars' actions, revealing to him that he founded the dollars. Chikage stops Mikado from groveling to him in front of Non, and doesn't believe him about founding the dollars, since he believes the founder just sits at a computer all the time and lets the fighting start among themselves. He suggests that Mikado lets the dollars go, especially with how big it has gotten, and that an honest life suits Mikado better. Mikado realizes he never caught up with the abnormality of Ikebukuro from the start, that he was afraid of being left behind by the town itself. Kita saw the whole situation play out, running away to avoid Mikado. Henri hops into the chat room to find no one there and quickly leaves, and Tom asks how things went for Shizuo. Shizuo explains that he got a call from Shinra clearing his name of his frame job, as long as he doesn't talk about the attack the Owa Kuzu group suffered. According to Shiki, the person behind the attack intended to frame the Asuki group using Sloane for the job. Turns out Mikiya was the one behind the attack on random people, pretending to be his own men, all to frame Shizuo. So, like, Izia and Mikiya work together on that, almost. It's confusing. Verona and Sloane hide out inside a half-constructed building, with Sloane reassuring her they can always recapture Akane and Verona can snipe Henri. After the jobs are completed, Verona wants to gratify herself by hunting down Salty and Shizuo for fun. The casual chat is interrupted by Shou and Mizuki, with the Owakuzu group shooting out Sloane's kneecaps, and Verona getting body slammed into the ground by Mizuki. Mizuki says that if he can easily beat her, she has no chance of beating Shizuo, telling her to be careful. Igor also shows up and gives Verona an out of the situation for priority on weapon deals with her father. Mizuki knocks Verona out, leaving her with Simon and Dennis while they take Sloane away. He says that if Verona were to commit to an end, he wouldn't be able to sleep well, at which Simon suggests Mizuki eat shark for good dreams. Meanwhile, Mikado talks with Aoba about having thought about the dollars and how they have changed without any rules. Mikado agrees to the deal Aoba is offering, even if Aoba wants to use them in a way for his own plans. Making a contract with Aoba, Mikado shows he's ready to use violence by giving Aoba stigmata using a pen after dragging Henri into the situation that happened. He quickly goes back to his worried self for Aoba's hand, having medical supplies ready to treat him. Mikado is planning to use the blue squares to restore the dollars to what they were before, but is disappointed he couldn't stay away from the dollars. Izzy talks on the phone to someone about believing that the Asuki group is the best group to run Ikebukuro. He's amazed how fast everything was resolved when another call comes in from Jinai, annoyed that Izzy's beef with Shizuo screwed up his calculations. He warns Izzy about standing out too much, stabbing Izzy in the side with a knife. And that's where Shou ends for today. Well, that's just where Shou ends. As next week will be Ton. But for now, for YouTube, links will be in the description of both the channels and the Twitch for you guys go check out. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you know when the next video comes out. A ding, a ding. I'm Psycrafter.